let's take a look at our top selections for Hi, everybody. Dan Illman, Mike Beer. 3 stakes races at Aqueduct on Sunday, and the third of those triumvirate is race number 8, the New York Stallion Series. Let's throw up the field. 7/8 of a mile, 2-year-olds. This is the male division. There's a big field in here, but kind of the key to this race is the 7, Dreamer's Disease, who's cleverly placed by Robertino Diodoro. This is a Kentucky bred who is eligible for the Stallion Series because he is a son of New York Stallion, or then New York Stallion, Lauban.
Yeah, it's one of those situations where you first see his name in the PPs and you wonder what he's doing here, but he is eligible for the race. And you're right, it's a very clever spot. The purse is big. Diodoro noticed it, and he has the favorite for the race very likely.
And he might be the pace setter as well. Let's throw up the Timeform U.S. pace projector. Dreamer's Disease. I almost wonder if he was kind of a half rabbit in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile. They had, I believe, Keep Me in Mind in that race as well, who ran to rallying third and then came back to win a graded stakes race for his maiden score. This horse went fast in that race, and he actually held on pretty well.
Yeah, that wasn't a poor performance at all, considering not only that he was just stepping way up in class for that race, Dan, but that was an absolute monstrous pace in there that he was on. And you're right, it's not like he totally collapsed in the stretch. If he runs anything like that in here, this field's in big trouble.
He might have to deal with fellow pace setters. The 2, It's Gravy, listed as a first-time gelding, and the 4, The King Cheek. Prospect Mountain would really benefit from that red bar Timeform U.S. fast-paced scenario. Let's watch the debut. 62-1 for the Jimmy Ferraro barn. This horse was way, way back in between. He didn't break very well at all. He comes rolling by them all.
Yeah, this horse ran pretty well in this race. I know it's only a maiden 40, Dan, and it's not a fast race on figures. This horse ran very well in here. He was way, way out of it. He stayed on very nicely through the stretch, and he was clear under the wire. He's going to have to get a lot faster to go with these horses. But it's interesting that he's back in here because it's a big purse, and he might catch a setup here to get a piece of it.
It's Gravy is the number 2. 3 starts, 3 on the board finishes. It's Gravy last time out, third in a maiden special weight behind Horn of Plenty. He's also in this race, listed again as a first-time gelding. Going to show some speed under Rosario. Might end up getting cooked, though, by the favorite.
Yeah, showing speed in this race may not actually be a good thing, but maybe he'll fall into a trip. If he doesn't, have to go too hard and he can just fall in behind Dreamer's Disease. Maybe that works out for him. He's got to improve.
New York won the number 3. This is a son of Kentucky Derby and Preakness winner Big Brown. He's a 2-time winner. Let's watch his score last time out over Muddy Going at Mountaineer Park. Nice fig he earned in this race, Mike. 77 Beyer speed figure. I wonder if the wet track moved him up, and this racetrack might retain some of the weekend's moisture.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this track is still a little bit wet on Sunday. We'll see what happens. This horse ran well in this race, and he earned a solid figure for it, too. And you know what, Dan? It's not like it came out of nowhere, because I even thought his maiden win back in August, I thought he ran well that day. That was a short sprint. He got bumped at the start, and another horse beat him to the lead, but this horse was unfazed by that. I liked the way he won that race, and he obviously improved last time.
Speaking of improvement, the 4, the King Cheek, improved 35 Beyer points in the race we're going to show you right now. First off, the Jamie Ness claim. $25,000 seller at Park showed much improved speed in this race and kept right on going. I thought this horse ran well in his career debut at Delaware. He seemed a little bit green, ended up second best to the favorite. And then at Delaware in his second start, he just was off very weirdly, and it took him a long time to get going to track the pace, and then he tired from his early efforts. I think he's a little bit better than he looks on paper.
Yeah, and the figure that he earned last time suggests that he's not, totally in over his head here. We'll see what Jamie Ness can get out of him second time off the claim. If nothing else, Jamie Ness is on a real roll right now, first off the claim. They're all winning.
Jack's American Pies 50-1 on the morning line. Didn't look like a 50-1 shot in his last race at Finger Lakes. Graduating around 2 turns over Muddy Going, just wins by 10. And just rolled by these horses on the turn to win very easily. He moves up on a wet track. I like the distance for this horse. I think cutting back to 7 is going to be within his wheelhouse, especially if the pace is fast, but he needs to improve from a fig standpoint.
Yeah, that's certainly true enough. I mean, he looked good winning last time, but he wasn't beating much, and it wasn't a fast race.
Interesting spot for the 6 Market Alert. I wouldn't, sleep on this horse at 12-1 on the morning line. He's faced some decent New York breds in his career. He was well beaten last time out by Eagle Orb, but I think there's still something here if he gets the right trip.
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, I got to admit, I'm starting to lose the faith. I've been a fan of this horse since his debut, which I thought was a really nice performance. He ran okay last time. I wanted to give him a little bit of a trip excuse because he was in behind horses held up for a while, but he got clear and he was really making no impact through the stretch. He was game to get third. He's got to take a step forward. Maybe he'll do it here.
Dreamer's Disease is your morning line favorite, a two-time winner. Both wins came at a mile, one on turf, one at Keeneland. And again, in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, he simply went too fast against better horses. Just a nice spot for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty hard to argue with in here. His last two non-stake starts are both clear-cut wins with solid figures, one on turf, one on dirt. I don't think cutting back to 7 is going to hurt this horse. He ran very well last time, Dan, considering how fast that pace was. And again, if he runs anything like that, it's hard to see him lose him.
Can you make an excuse for Hold the Salsa's last race, finishing behind Eagle Orb, who would come back to win the Notebook with a 74? It was a race won by Brooklyn Strong, who is in the Remsen on Saturday. 2 starts back at this distance. This horse got a nice trip and setup, but won the Gabon Garden. I don't know. I think if he runs back to that race sprinting, he's got an outside chance.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe cutting back will just help him a little bit. He just didn't run well last time. I personally didn't see a big excuse for him in there. He just didn't run his best race. But he's run a couple of others that would give him a look in here, especially if there's pace. I think, if he sits back and makes one run, he could get a piece.
I also feel that Horn of Plenty has an outside chance if he minds his manners before the gate. He looked good in his debut, going 6.5. Then he was one of several horses that broke through the gate before the start of the Notebook. And I wonder if that kind of took the starch out of him.
Yeah, it's a viable excuse because I agree with you. His career debut was actually an interesting run. He was covered up and buried in behind horses for a long time. But once he got room, he settled that race pretty easily.
Jacoba looks like a private purchase after running third against optional claimers over the Tapeta Surface at Woodbine. This is a horse that has won at 7 furlongs. I thought a little bit green in that race back on September the 20th. But this horse, I think, turning back and sitting from off the pace is just a better setup than what happened last time.
I agree. And he's got a little bit of a wild card look for him here. He's got enough dirt pedigree. He's going to turn back and switch surfaces here, and he gets the big trainer change to Jeremiah Englehart.
Uno for Todd Pletcher, the number 11, might just trip out in here in the second flight off the pace while in the clear. Let's watch the career debut. Son of Lauban, who cost a lot of money. He's a good-looking colt, and he just rolls by these horses in the stretch. 76 buyer. He can build off of that effort. He's a prime contender.
Yeah, nothing wrong with his career debut at all. They didn't really fall for him, Dan. He wasn't favored in there, despite, they paid a lot of money for him, and he, breezed the bull at 9-4 before they bought him. The bettors didn't really fall for him. He didn't have a ton of speed in there, but he was wide all the way. He won that race pretty easily, and the figure was solid.
Windy Nations got beat for 30 last time out at Churchill Downs. Blinkers on for Michael Maker. Outside post. I think you just take back and hope for one run.
Yeah, I guess that's what they have to do. He's got to get a lot better.
Let's take a look at our top picks in this race. The favorite just looks real tough, Mike. That's the 7, Dreamer's Disease.
Yeah, I'm not going to try to beat him, Dan. I just feel like this is the right spot for this horse. Again, I threw Market Alert in there just because I don't want to totally give up on him yet at a big price, but I'm starting to lose faith in him. Maybe he'll sit back and make one run here.
Mike, you're going 7, 11, 6, and 8. I'm interested if the track is wet in the 3 New York 1, who just improved over a muddy track last time out. But I think the King Cheek might be somewhat interesting at a price for, as you mentioned, a Jamie Ness barn that's very well off the claim with just about everything. And the King Cheek was one of those horses. Interesting field. The New York Stallion Series, $250,000 is the purse. We'll see if Dreamer's Disease, dropping out of the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, can win for the 3rd time in his career.